Sushi consumed in the U.S. How many of you ever ate sushi and thought it was a health food? Raise your hand. All you yuppies. I know you're BMWs, Mercedes, and sushis. Whole food market with your high heels on. Let's buy some organic food and get some sushi. Stereotypically insane. Sushi consumed in the U.S. and other Western countries typically chosen from a variety of fish, lay atop rice or rolled in rice and wrapped in seaweed, nori, accompanied by a spicy wasabi. Wasabi is always made available to eat with sushi, but most consumers don't realize that the sharp-tasting paste from a plant root has antimicrobial properties, and its use is intended to help reduce the risk of illness from food poisoning. Now, how many of you have ever eaten sushi and liked the wasabi with it? Most of you ate sushi and said, oh, I don't like hot stuff. I don't like hot stuff, right? So you just ate the bacterial-ridden, parasite-riddled, and amoeba-riddled flesh of a disgusting creature you should not have touched. You should have kissed it and let it go back into the water. Not touched it. Certainly not eaten it. I mean, it's insane. Learning wasabi's real function as a microbe killer in sushi should be the first red flag about potential health risk of eating fish in the raw. Though the Japanese have eaten sushi for many centuries, what we now find served up in sushi restaurants sprouting up throughout the U.S. and other countries is really a form of fast food that was first created in the 19th century. This relatively new variety isn't fermented, as traditional sushi has been. Now, if you ferment the flesh of a fish, it will kill most of the microbes. That's why fermented food, certain kinds of fermented food, not kombucha, but certain kinds of fermented food, literally are really good for you because they keep the microbes down in your intestinal tract, help to keep the probiotics and the prebiotics up at good levels so that your blank blank system can work. What's the name of that system? Your immune system can work. What sushi connoisseurs now eat can best be characterized as frankenfish. It's polluted by a toxic chemical cocktail of heavy metals, pesticides, and other industrial pollutants, accompanied by vast hardy breeds of parasites and pathogen bacteria, which thrive inside of your gastrointestinal tract. Wasabi can't compete with some of the pathogens that are now appearing in fish pulled from our heavily polluted oceans. Now, how many of you have ever scuba dove off the shore here in Long Island? You know what we're really doing? We're getting into a large toilet and scuba diving. I'll never forget, my dad finally brought me. I grew up diving here up and down these shores, and I finally remember going to Florida when I was like a teenager and diving. And I felt uncomfortable because I could see so well. I could see things. You know, when you're in this cesspool here, even if a shark was next to you, you wouldn't be frightened, you wouldn't see it at that point. And it's insane. A closer look inside of sushi. Evidence supporting the toxic sushi reality has been accumulating rapidly over the past several years. Just a few years ago, a newspaper reporter decided to take samples of tuna sushi from 20 restaurants and stores in the New York City area. That sounds familiar to you? You ever hear of that place? New York City? This wasn't done in Maryland. This wasn't done in Connecticut. This was done in New York City. Now let's tell you what they found and report it in the New York Times. And have the fish tested for mercury by researchers at a medical laboratory. The results showed that 1/4 of the samples contained mercury levels so high that the U.S. Food and Drug Administration would remove the sushi from sale as a public health hazard. But does anyone do that? Does the Environmental Protection Agency or the FDA, who, by the way, are the front for the pharmaceutical industry and the food industry now, do they send people out here to the local sushi restaurants? Or do they let people eat it so that you get closer and closer to death and demise? Now, I'm not a big brother guy. I don't think that we should have government do everything for us. I think government should do a lot for us, but not everything for us. So you've got to take responsibility for your own life. Unless you're willing and ready to do that, this is going to be a very uncomfortable weekend for you. Because everything I'm leading you to is you. I'm not leading you to some ultimate answer. I can give you a pill and get you well. I'm leading you back to you. And I'm saying, you're the guy, you're the woman that's got to do this. And once you have the knowledge, once you have the wisdom, you can't hide anymore. We've pulled the drapes away. We've gone behind the scene. Now, what are you going to do with this? What are you going to do with this?
Well, it's much easier. When I go out to eat with my family and friends, I can have some salmon. Because all the holistic doctors say salmon's good. Well, I know Dr. Jones did die last week from...
You get what I'm saying? Yeah, fit right in with everyone. Be normal. Normal's really a good thing until the day you suffer from being normal. Remember, it was the abnormal ones that always lead us out of the darkness. Every time there's an abnormal one, in 20 years they become saints. Oh my God, we didn't know he wasn't crazy. So what do they find? The results showed that 1/4 of these were hazardous. Anyone eating 6 or more pieces of this sushi a week could be seriously endangering their health. The typical sushi eater consumes more than 6 pieces in just one meal sitting. Thank God I never ate sushi. I would have eaten 50 sushis at one. I never just stopped at one. They used to love me when I was with my family because anything they couldn't eat, I ate. How many of you used to do that? Raise your hand. It's insane. So now we're going to go one step more, and then we're going to open up for questions. Get your daily minimum requirement of essential omega-3 fatty acids by eating more fish. They're rich in omega-3s. But what are the facts behind all of this rhetoric? Most people would be shocked to learn that the real source of omega-3 fatty acids they think they're getting from salmon and other large species of fish actually come from a microalgae that smaller prey fish have absorbed. Aha! Now remember I said to you the first 12 minutes I was with you yesterday that the core 3 foods of the Hippocrates diet are algae, and Interesting. So why my children have never, by nobody who's ever practiced the Hippocrates diet has ever once had an omega-3 deficiency is because we're getting massive, effective, clean, healthy omega-3s from it. And why is it I'm the first one telling you, most of you, this? Because it all comes down to the money again. Who has the microphone? Who has the money? Who has a lobbyist? And what is the latest spin that they're throwing into the public? How many of you thought when you walked into a health store that everything you could trust in there? And I don't think that they're mostly distrustful people that run health stores. I think they're good people who mean well. I just spoke about a month ago, at the beginning of December, at the major Southeastern conference of health store owners. And I had the same conversation. And I said, you're good people, but you need to be educated now. You're still living in 1965. We're in 2013. And here's what you're going to make money on, and here's what you can make money on ethically and feel good about it. And I show them in an hour's presentation exactly what works, what doesn't work, and how you can do just as well, if not better, and feel good when you leave work at night and go home to sleep. And so we no longer have to choose behind bad and bad. We can choose behind bad and what's right. And there's enough today that we can do that. It is a microalgae that provide the true, original, and natural source of omega-3 fatty acids.